recognizes that there are major flaws with the design of the study, major biases, major design problems. So they also look at the study design itself, but their main purpose is ethics, to make sure this study is appropriate to perform on the people from that particular hospital. And that means that this board has to be convinced that there is equipoise existing in this study. Equipoise is a great word, and I'll say what I mean by equipoise in a minute. But let me say a few words about this IRB. Basically, I said their main role is to safeguard the rights and the welfare of the participants in the study. We're going to be asking people from this hospital, for example, to be enrolled in my study. You're going to be asking them to either take treatment A or treatment B, this new treatment or the standard of care. The committee has to realize, has to agree that this is an ethical study, that one arm is just as good as another arm, that one group of people are not being deprived of better treatment. So their main concern are the rights and welfare of the study participants, mainly from a perspective of ethics. They have to be convinced that the risks that these people are undergoing somehow are outweighed or equally balanced by the benefits that these participants are going to maybe obtain from being in this study. They have to be in a frame of mind that the pluses and the minuses, the good things and the bad things that could happen to people sort of balance themselves out. Because if they don't, if only bad things can be expected from one of your treatment arms compared to the other, then no one's going to allow you to give that worst treatment to one half of your people, to one arm of your study. They also are going to tell you have to get informed consent from everybody in your study. You have to convince people that this is a study that's valid and ethical to enroll in. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to, and I'll talk about informed consent in a few minutes, but that means that you, the investigator, you, the members of this IRB, you, the participants in this study, all have to be in a frame of mind which we call equipoise. Equipoise means you're uncertain about the risks and benefits of this treatment. You're not sure whether one treatment is any better or any worse than the other. And think about the last time you went to see your doctor because you had a complaint. You had a sore arm, or you were coughing a lot or something. And you're looking at your doctor and you're waiting for him or her to make a recommendation of how you should be treated, whether you should take this pill or that pill, whether you should go home and rest or go to work or whatever. How would you feel if you saw your doctor scratch his or her head, reach into his or her pocket, pull out a coin, and flip the coin in front of you? If the coin came up heads, that doctor said, take this pill. If the coin came up tails, your doctor said, take this other pill instead. Would you be very happy if your doctor decided the best treatment for you would be a treatment that was decided by a flip of a coin? I wouldn't be very happy unless I wasn't so sure and my doctor wasn't so sure which of these two treatments was better than the other. If that was the case, then you and your doctor are in this frame of mind called equipoise. And then, in other words, you believe the risks and the benefits are balancing each other out. Only then does randomization seem ethical. So what you have to be is have sufficient expected benefit to give the treatment to some people, but also sufficient doubt about that treatment to withhold it from others. You're not sure which of these two treatments are better. And this pertains to the investigator, because he can't design a study. It would be unethical for you to design a study where you thought that one treatment was really better for patients than another. It also has to be true for the subjects themselves. It's not ethical for you to enroll in a study where you believe one treatment is better than another, and there's a chance you won't get that better treatment. It also pertains to your doctor, because chances are your hospital is not going to let you talk to patients unless you first get permission from their doctors to talk to their patients. You have to convince their doctors, their primary care physicians, that this new treatment might just be as good and might just be as bad as the standard of care. So equipoise means everybody involved in this decision has to be unsure about the risks and the benefits, unsure to a state that they are willing to allow people to get one treatment versus another. And beware, equipoise might only exist for a short period of time, because once a treatment becomes part of standard of care, it might be very hard to do a study when some of those people will not get that standard of care. So, for example, if once a certain type of surgery is recommended for people with a condition, it might be hard to convince surgeons not to operate on people. It might be hard to convince people not to have a surgical procedure performed on them if everybody gets surgery for this particular treatment. So the window of opportunity for doing these randomized trials might be very short. It might only be the time when a new treatment is first being considered as an alternative to the standard of care, because once it becomes standard of care, it might be hard to withhold that from people. So IRB is a dirty word in Hawaii. Okay, as one person just mentioned, I agree. We don't like to think of people as being experimental subjects, but I would think that the purpose of the IRB member is to protect people in studies. So I hope people would realize the purpose for this IRB is to protect the participants in studies from maybe studies which are likely to be non-ethical, which are likely to be harmful. Okay, let me say a few other words about the overview of doing experimental studies. The next thing you do is you recruit patients, and that means you recruit people who satisfy certain inclusion-exclusion criteria. In the study we'll look at in a minute, they wanted to enroll people who were at high risk of developing diabetes to see if one lifestyle would prevent diabetes from occurring more often than another lifestyle. So they wanted to enroll people who are at high risk of developing diabetes. Those were the inclusion, also exclusion criteria. Usually pregnant women are excluded from almost any study, unless it's a study dealing with pregnancy issues. So there are usually inclusion and exclusion criteria which are chosen by the scientific investigator to enroll the people who are the type of person they want in the study. And typically, all things being equal, what you want to enroll are high-risk people, people at high risk of developing your outcome, because that usually means you need fewer people in these studies. If you want to enroll, if your outcome is going to be the development of diabetes, as will be in the next study, you'd be better off enrolling 100 high-risk people based on some pre-study screening to see what their hemoglobin A1C levels are. If they are high, but not high enough to be called diabetic, but high enough to be called high risk for diabetes, those are the people you would like to enroll in your study, because those are the people who are more likely to develop disease in the future once the study begins. And what you want to do, sounds like we epidemiologists are cruel people, we're rooting for people to develop the outcome. We need enough people to develop the outcome in our study to answer the question whether one treatment arm does better or worse than another. So it's better to enroll 100 high-risk people than to enroll 100 low-risk people. 100 high-risk people will give you more outcomes in your study than 100 low-risk people. That's usually what determines inclusion and exclusion criteria. Then you obtain informed consent from everybody. That means you have to describe the study to everybody who you'd like to be in your study. You have to tell them it's purely voluntary. You don't have to be in the study. If you choose not to be in the study, nothing bad is going to happen to you. You'll still get the best treatment we can give you, the standard of care. You have to tell them the purpose of this study is research. The main reason we're asking you to be in the study is not to give you the best treatment we can for you, because we don't know which of these treatments are best. We hope you can help us determine what the best treatment is for the next person a year from now to give, helping us to decide which of these two treatment arms is better. So the bottom line is there's no penalty whatsoever to refusing to be in the study. Nothing bad will happen to you. That's what informed consent basically involves. Then you assign people to your treatment groups, usually with randomization, usually with a computer randomly generated number, which is like a coin flip. Some people will get new treatment, some people will get standard of care, some people will get a preventive agent, some people will get a placebo. And usually you won't know which of these two arms you're in. You're going to be blinded. You won't know, the investigator won't know, your doctor won't know. Typically the only person who does know while the study is being performed is a statistician. The statistician might be living in another part of the world. He has a file of names of people in the study and what actually